Sydney's $17 billion WestConnex motorway is tonight under a cloud.
There are protests and traffic delays over the WestConnex tonight.
Dozens of protesters gathered in Sydney Park at Alexandria today.
Opponents of the WestConnex project swarmed Sydney Park this morning to try to stop the bulldozers on the next stage of the work. Campaigners say the project is a crime against local residents. They say the money should be used on public transport instead of new roads.
Our sense of self is constructed in space. We find ourselves in the world and compartmentalise our lives to find meaning. Wombs, homes, cars, offices, coffins. We compartmentalise the world.
We live very close to the park. It's just a block away, and so we were able to go to the park every morning, almost every afternoon. So being in St. Peter's, all our friends were there. I'd been in the neighbourhood over 25 years, and before that I was always in the inner west.
We're just ordinary people just trying to protect our homes. We object to multi-lane motorways that is just going to cause more traffic congestion and an unfiltered exhaust stack that will poison the lungs of our children and our elderly.
This building is part of all the buildings that have been destined to be bulldozed by WestConnex, part of 123 buildings, of which 6 have already been bulldozed. This building had 8 flats in it, 8 residences. This particular flat had 3 people living in it, and the 3 people living in this flat have not been able to stay in the district. They've had to move out of the district because of the paltry figure that they were paid, and that applies to everybody else. There's nobody in Haberfield who's been actually able to stay in Haberfield because of the very poor sums that have been paid to them.
Why are we doing this? We need to have a proper reason, and I still don't know the reason 3.5 years later why we're having this WestConnex stowaway.
I go past that house now, and I love that little house. The house that Trish had, she was in there for 5 years, and because it was we're basically coming to the end of our working lives, so it was a really good place for us to live. It was on the partner was evicted from WestConnex, so I had a house myself in St. Peter's, but I've sold that so that we can buy a house together, because she didn't get very good money from her forced acquisition. So instead of staying here for the rest of our lives, we've had to move. So we've bought a house in Darlington.
How many trees will you kill today? Hey, hey, get it, gate. How many trees will you kill today?
Here because I'm a resident of Haberfield, and I live in a house similar to this beautiful house here that has been resumed by WestConnex and is occupied currently by fellow residents of Haberfield. And I'm particularly concerned as a resident as to what is happening with WestConnex and how that's affecting the lives of people who live in Haberfield. Basically, it is ruining a community, and it's having a physical and emotional and financial effect on all residents of Haberfield.
Of course, that public transport is only worthwhile when it's integrated. That is to say, when the buses connect to the trains, when the trains connect to the light rail, when people have the capacity to safely cycle and walk. And that is what our group has been trying to put forward, that what we need more than anything else is integrated public transport that is synchronised. We're not against roads, we're simply saying the roads we have can be better used as they are.
I think for a long period of time the people themselves were forgotten in all of this, and wherever people get involved in legal dealings, if they don't have the knowledge to start with, then they're behind the 8 ball from day one. And the RMS and the WestConnex Delivery Authority really have taken advantage of a lot of people in this situation in their naivety of the laws.
Into mine and yours and ours. But what happens when you can't truly comprehend your own vessel? When you can't truly understand yourself? What happens when they come to take everything, but there's nothing left? What happens when everything gets razed?